Hi, I'm Duane Nickull. I'm one of the Adobe Flex evangelists, and I'm going to show you how to use the new Flash Builder 4 product to connect to data services on the back end and display it to the front end without writing a single line of code. Now, in the past when we did this, we usually used a HTTP service, or you could use a remote object declaration to go out and get access to different data that existed out on the web or over a network. In this case, I'm going to set up a brand new program, an application, and this one's going to be an Adobe Air application. And I'm not choosing any application server type for this one. I'm simply clicking on Finish, and it will set up the base application for me. On my laptop, I've got an instance of BlazeDS running, and the instance of BlazeDS has an XML list of some wines that I rather enjoy, some Gaias, Chateau Petrus, and Mouton Rothschild, etc., in an XML format, and it will serve these up over HTTP. So I will copy the URL, it's localhost port 8400, which is the default port, and I'm going to do this whole application by allowing the wizard to write this for me. I click at the bottom, Connect to Data Service, HTTP Service, and choose Next. And it's going to prompt me for some details. At this point, I can choose the service name, so I'll call it Get Wines. And at the bottom, I can put in the URL of where it is and hit Finish. Now I'll get a generic warning that says once I've done this, I have to configure the return type and do some other things. This will show up until you click the Do Not Show This message anymore. But for now, I have to do some work to configure what's going to come back. Now, by default, it will come back as a type of object. And you can see on the sidebar under the Package Explorer over here, under the ADC REST2, that it's actually generated some classes for me under the services.getWines namespace. So the package, as it's done, is it's developed the GetWines service, and it's done all the low-level plumbing, and it's filled in the name of the things that I've given it here. It's using the operational method get. Flash Builder 4 gives the developer a lot more control over the particular aspects of how services work. As well, it's done something else that's pretty cool. It's built not only the superclass, but it's already stubbed out a subclass in case I wanted to extend the superclass GetWines and do something else with it. So Flash Builder 4 has a lot of really cool developer features. Now, to configure the return type, I go down to Fill in Name Here Object, hit Configure Return Type, and I'm going to call my return data type a wines list. It's actually not a list, it will be returned as a hierarchical object. And I can now choose one of three different return types, either XML JSON response, or I could actually choose the parameter values, or I can give it the URL that I gave it before and hit Next, and it will go out and inspect the object for me. And it comes back with a relatively good guess of what the structure of the object is. In this case, if you look at the structure, the hierarchic nature of this object, it actually mirrors the XML. It has a root of wines, a sub-element, a child of vintage, and then a recurring number of children of vintner, name, vintage, Parker notation, and price. So if I set it to a context of vintage and hit Finish, it will now know to go out and get the object and how to configure the return type and where to iterate over the results as they come back. The last thing I have to do is switch to Design View and give it some sort of a visual component to display. And this is a really cool part, is I've just dragged on a data grid onto my screen. I haven't done any coding yet, and I'm going to go down to the wines list and simply drag and drop it onto this, and as soon as I release it, it will automatically configure the column headers of that data grid to match those 5 elements that are inside of the object. And when I hit Run, it will go out and automatically get this and iterate over and fill out the rows of the data grid itself. And as you can see, it's done just that right now. Notice through this whole operation that I didn't write one single line of code. Flash Builder 4, if you haven't played around with this beta, go out and get it. You can get it from this URL right here.